Hey guys, my name is Angelon Wallace. Thank you for coming back and supporting the channel. If you haven't by now, please make sure to check out some more of my videos. Subscribe to the channel, click that notification button. Make sure you check out my Being Black in Australia video. Also, Being Black in the UK if you haven't checked out that video as well. Look, today we're going to be talking about my favorite country. We're going to be talking about France. Look, let's jump straight into it. Okay guys, look, welcome back to the channel. So let's talk about France today, City of Love. And let's talk about how I ended up in France, my first time there. I actually studied abroad in Oxford and backpacked around Europe, and I remember the first time, you know, when I decided to backpack around Europe, the first country I traveled to was Paris.
And in Paris, you can buy beer in McDonald's. And you know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in Paris?
They don't call it a quarter pounder with cheese?
Oh man, they got the metric system. They wouldn't know what the fuck a quarter pounder is.
And what do they call it?
They call it Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese.
That's right.
What do they call a Big Mac?
Big Mac's a Big Mac, but they call it Le Big Mac.
Le Big Mac.
And I stayed with this couch surfer, very cool guy, and he was, you know, he told me it was a couch surfing picnic going on. It was like hundreds of people. It was just, it was super good vibes. And you know, I'm chilling, and this is like the time where I think Detroit was going through a lot going on. So I remember one day I was, you know, telling people I'm from La Detroit, from Detroit, and they were like, oh, you know, this is like when I first found out that Detroit was like, went bankrupt. I was like, oh, whoa. I didn't know. And I remember, you know, I was just introducing myself to a few people, and I was going around, you know, Jay Pale and, you know, Angelon. And
Je m'appelle. Great. Okay, faster. Je m'appelle. Je m'appelle.
Me poo-poo.
And all this, and I'm like, yeah, La Detroit. And this one white guy was like, Grand Rapids, bro. And he was from Michigan. And he was a cool guy, man. Guy named Eric. And he was just like, yo, man, I'm out here living my life, living my best life. I mean, we both was just kicking it in France. And, you know, he was just living a life and, you know, actually like working remotely. This is the first time I found out and discovered remote working. But this is like my first experience when I got to France. You know, look, it's a very diverse city, you know, so I didn't feel like, you know, like I was pretty rare, like, you know, in cases like when I lived in Australia or Oxford. It's so diverse, but it's one of those situations where, you know, you do have to communicate for people to identify you as an American before they, you know, or they're gonna think you're like, they're gonna think you're a French citizen, you know, if you don't actually talk or they don't hear the accent, you know what I mean? So I mean, those are like, you know, some of the things that I definitely can remember. It was a lot of different situations. I also did go to school in America for my undergrad, and I know you guys, if you watch my UK video, I talk about my experience with Thai. But there was another guy who was in our wolf pack. It was this guy, Cyril, and he was from France. And he was French as hell. You know, like every day he'll drink a bottle of sparkling water, and he loved going to buy his bread, and you know, and he always complained about the American bread. He's like, America has shitty ass bread, shit bread, horrible bread. he never liked the food in America, of course. You know, the food is not the best, of course, especially compared to the French food. It's definitely much better. But Cyril, man, he lived in Toulouse. So I remember, like, when I moved to, like, Oxford, me and Ty, we shot over to Toulouse. And, you know, that's another thing. I mean, you know, just talking about my experience being black in France, like, depending on the cities you're going to. So, like, Toulouse is definitely a small city. They actually call Toulouse, from what I've heard, you know, I don't know if it's actually factual. You know how people be getting on these comment buttons, but they actually call Toulouse the City of Love, from what I've heard. I always thought Paris was called call it the City of Love, but they call it Toulouse the City of Love because of like the pink bricks on the city, you know, that runs throughout the whole city. But anyways, man, we up in Toulouse, living la vida loca, we loving it, man. And I definitely was a rare face. It wasn't that many blacks in Toulouse. Definitely gonna see them in the main cities, but you know, I didn't come across that many Africans or Americans or, you know, or French Africans, you know, really why I was in Toulouse in a smaller city. I definitely got a few stares, but it was kind of like, you know, alright, something different. Like the French, they do not care, you know, it's not like, they're not gonna be like, you know, being black going to China or something like that, or Japan. It's just like, okay, you know, but you do have some people who are, you know, curious, and, you know, you were getting stares, but I wasn't getting like photos taken of me like that. The French were like super chill, super down to earth, and that's what I love about French people so much, man, because they have this, you know, this I don't give a fuck mindset, you know, that's French people for sure. And it would be some weird situations. I remember, you know, I used to walk up, I don't know why, but French people do this often, still to this day. I'll walk up to a French person and I'll ask them for directions in English, and they'll speak French, and you know they ass speak it, you know they speak English, you know, like they pretend like they don't speak English at all, and you know, like I don't know why, but you get that sometimes. Maybe things have changed since the last time I've been there, but you get some weirdos, you get some people, like I said, depending on locations, you do have, you know, those interactions, but it's not as, you know, I don't think it, you know, from my experience as an African American, I experienced like the real harsh realities of being, you know, a black French person, you know, because I definitely do believe like black French get treated different from the African Americans traveling abroad, and that's often the same situation often when I travel around the world as well. And I remember like, you know, I'm in Toulouse, and I remember, you know, one thing I can recall, man, it's beautiful. I mean, the city is lit up, it's good vibes, it's good energy, it's a very social city, and I think that's why I love France so much, you know, France so much. It's just so social. I mean, and the vibes are just there, you know, you're like, damn, man, I mean, I'm in France and I'm just loving it. And I remember me and Ty and real, we went to a bar, and you know, I'm in a club and I'm trying to holler at this French girl, and she started like cussing me out. I guess she said that I was putting on a French American accent. I was like, damn. I was like, do guys really try to pretend to be American and pick up chicks here? And I remember Surreal, he had to like run over and tell her like, no. He's really from, you know, in French. He's like telling her like, he's from America. We studied together. We went to university together. And it was just a, you know, she apologized. She felt really bad, but I didn't know that was a thing, you know, like, so it was crazy, man. But I mean, like, we were up like partying till like 4 or 5 a.m. You know, everyone's smoking cigarettes, you know, it feels like the 1930s and 20s, like everybody, I mean, teenagers, kids, 12, 11, 15, just smoking cigarettes on the streets, you know, like French people grow up so fast, and you know, they're so blunt and so honest with each other, you know, from my experience there. Like the music though, I also always realized, like in the French clubs, it wasn't like you got certain clubs, like often I felt like the music was at a level because French people love engaging and talking to each other. You know, it wasn't a lot of, you know, booty bumping and, you know, two-stepping on the floor. People wasn't really dancing like that. It's more like a vibe of talking, engaging, interacting with each other. But I just love that, you know, French people are very spontaneous and they're very, like, very down to earth for sure. You know, man, like, you're gonna, you know, but when you get into, like, the main cities, like, you know, like, location like Paris, I love going to Paris. You know, when you're at the main locations, you know, Mona Lisa or the Versailles or any of these hot spots, it's nothing but tourists. There's nothing but tourists around there. You're not gonna really get, you know, you may get some other tourists, you know, reacting to you, but it's like, it's really like, you know, like a New York or a London pretty much, because it's so diverse and there's so many things, you know, so many things to do. Now you do have to watch out what certain areas you go to. Like if you go into like the inner city, into like the more urban communities or the ghettos, you know, like you do gotta watch out for those areas, because of course there is a highly, you know, it is an identification, I think, you know, most likely with, you know, being black in a certain location where people are gonna gonna probably look at you funny. I was always the type of person to like, I enjoy couch surfing. I love like, you know, living through the eyes of a local. I didn't really want to be in like downtown. I really wanted to see France and see what, if I'm in Paris, I want to live in like a more local area and really feel like what it's like to be there every day, really immerse myself into the culture. So I mean like, but I just always felt like, I don't know, I felt like it was always good vibes being an African American there, but you definitely can feel, you know, a certain type of racism. There's this thing, I would call it almost, even like very similar to Australia, but it's like this hidden racism that you would get in France. Like, you'll be like, you know, working with somebody or walking down the street, and it's like, they won't even tell you that they're racist, you know what I mean? And that's like the scariest racism. Like, hidden racism is so scary because it's like, you know, that's what I love, you know, what I love about American racism is they're gonna tell you up front. You're gonna see Confederate flags in your license plates. You're gonna see Donald Trump flags, American flags hanging outside the house. At least in America, you're gonna know who hates you and who's trying to kill you. In France, man, oh man, it's scary because you don't even know. You know, this person can be plotting on you or planning, or, you know, it's definitely a lot more hidden racism, I feel, where people are not as open sometimes. And sometimes you will experience, you know, situations when they are as open as well. I think, man, you know, my time in like France, it was a lot of you know, it was a lot of just experiencing life, man. Like, I'm a hopeless romantic, you know. I love the French accent.
We have a very nice Flintampon Grand de Plon Sauvage from the Goutson Mousson Valley in Vézentin. It is served with a side of Colombon Fontaine de la Matin du Garde Formière Coulon sauce.
I love everything, you know, man. And, and a lot of people, France is one of those places where you're gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. And I loved it. I loved it. I don't think it's the in between with France. It's one of those situations. There's no in between. You're gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. You know, I never met people that's been in between about it. And, you know, I mean, but I'm just like, man, I'm just, you know, maybe it's all the movies I watch, the love stories in France, and, you know, and of course, you know, French women are very beautiful. But I just always felt good energy, good vibes there. It always just felt like I was living a story tale, you know, a story, or living in a romance novel or something like that when I was there. Look, it's, you know, I also, like, French people, what I love about them so much is that they really do value friendship. Like, they're gonna look out for you, man. They're gonna always have your back. I always felt like safe with the people I met. And I mean, as soon as you meet someone, they're definitely gonna greet you with open arms depending on the situation. Like, when I was couch surfing and networking with people, or even like going on dates with people, it just felt comfortable, it felt good, it felt sincere, and it really worked out, you know, in that sense. Bang! I'm shooting a YouTube video.
And? What?
And you got this robot on while I'm shooting a YouTube video.
You're doing the phone.
I know that you deaf, but I can hear this robot.
I can't hear the robot, AJ.
Oh my God. Please turn it off. Please. Oh, he's coming to me. Never mind. I got him. So, sorry guys. This is Robo. So... So I'm in France. Like I said, it always just felt like good vibes. It always felt like good energy. I tried to live in France. You know, I was trying to teach English abroad there. It was just much harder. It was much harder. So that's why I always like taught English. You know, I went to Spain, or I had opportunities in the Czech Republic. But I just always felt it was harder to get into France for certain things. But I mean, university education is really cheap. Most of the situations there, you only usually have to pay for your books. I mean, it's a lot of affordable options. I always try to aspire, especially like Americans looking to go abroad. I try to inspire and just tell a lot of Americans, hey, you know, really think about going abroad for your undergrad, you know, where education, you know, like universities in Germany, education is free. Situations in France where you don't have to pay as much, you know, and I mean, and be open to living a life abroad. You don't have to be entitled to stay here in America and work 50, 60 years. You can actually go over and, you know, and live your best life. French people are very vocal, you know, man. If something ain't going right, I mean, I'm telling you, man, those protests and, you know, if people are being mistreated, they're gonna get out there in the streets, they're gonna attack the buildings, they're gonna express how they feel. French people are very blunt, and they're gonna, you know, they're never gonna sugarcoat anything, they're never gonna hold anything back. But I also want to say, if you're an emotional person, you know, like a highly sensitive person, you may struggle with having, you know, as an American, you may struggle with having a French friend, because, you know, a friend that's from France, or, you know, while you're over there, because they're not that sensitive at all. And sometimes, you know, to be honest, you won't see a lot of, like, they don't show a lot of emotions on their face that often, from my experience, you know, where, you know, how Americans are very dramatic, or we're always crying, or we're always sad. French people can just have a fucking cold, straight face, and they could be feeling sad and they could be feeling happy as well. You just don't know. Like, they're not very emotional people, even though it's like, it's a very, like, they're highly known for romance and love. You know, the situations I came across, you don't see a lot of, you know, you don't see them like wearing their heart on their sleeves that often, especially over there. But I mean, like, it's always been like good energy, it's always been like good vibes. You know, you wanna, if you are thinking about going to France, you wanna try to ask yourself, you know, think about the locations you're gonna be living in, because I mean, of course, in Paris, prices are like out of control, man. Everything is, I think a bottle of water last time I went was like $8 or €8. I mean, inflation was crazy. I mean, like, man. So think about think about where you're gonna be going if you are traveling abroad. Definitely save up your money, because I mean, it's designed to take care of tourists. And I mean, when you're down there, you're gonna spend money, you know, like, because you're gonna be in the moment. You're gonna be like, man, I'm here, I'm living my life, I'm living my best life, and I don't want to miss out. And you're gonna spend I was spending so much money on everything, wine, the food, French pancakes, everything. It was just, man, I was just munching, because, you know, France for sure is like in my top 3. Like, far as best food, best wine, hands down. Like, French people have the best wine. And I guess, you know, for cereal, you know, they have the best bread in the world, you know, like, just, you know, I never was a croissant guy until I went to France, you know,
Hurry up with my damn croissant.
You know, so I definitely, you know, and I remember like when I came back home, and, you know, I grew up in the hood, I grew up in the ghetto, and so in the hood, we were, you know, all our clothes was like very baggy, and we sagged our pants, and I went home in like a French outfit, and this is like the first time, you know, I went back to the hood, and my pants were like super tight, my clothes were so tight, you know, and my mom thought I was gay. My mom, oh my God, they took my baby, you know. And I was like, no, Mom, this is how they dress in France. I'm not gay, you know. This is how they dress in France. This is French. This is, you know, this is oui. I mean, I was really in my moment, man. It was 100% good. It was a good life, and it's one of those places, man, where you can easily just, you know, like I said, you can fall in love with it, or you can tell like if it's gonna be for you or not as well. There's so much to do. It's so much to explore. I think a lot of people get hung up on just Paris, but it's so many other beautiful cities. You got Toulouse, you got Nice, you got, what else? Where else? Oh man, I feel bad. This is one of those situations where Americans' geography are really horrible. But I mean, like, I remember like when I went to Nice, I mean, Nice is just like, Nice is nice. And it's so many like beautiful, you know, things out there. You got a beach, you got the water. And when I was backpacking through Europe, I was broke. So I remember when I went to Nice, it was like booked out. I couldn't find no couch surfers, and I slept on the beach. And I mean, I was living my best life. It was beautiful, man. Like, it was gorgeous. It was beautiful, man. I was just, you know, not afraid, you know, to live my best life. And I loved it. I always like wanted to, you know, I don't know what it is, but you're gonna have this moment if you guys have traveled abroad, but it's that moment you feel like, you just feel like, man, this is where I want to be, or this is where I want to spend the rest of my life, or, you know, I haven't felt this happy in a long time. And, you know, it's like when you wake up and, you know, like, I'm here in an area where when I wake up, I gotta go see outside. I see 8 inches of snow and...
Oh, thanks, mister. Hey!
It's just hell. It's just horrible. But it's not like, you know, waking up to a very old, you know, beautiful romantic style. You know, you're waking up in neighborhoods in France where the buildings haven't changed, and you're hearing the French accent, and you're smelling the fresh bread first thing in the morning, and you're drinking your cafe, and I mean, you can't beat that, man. You can't beat that at all, man. You guys haven't lived until you experience, you know, those beautiful things about being abroad. But I mean, also, like, when it comes to, like, I do recall, man, every time French people would, like, watch American news, they always, like, ask you questions as if you were, like, you know, because you represented that person. You know, when I was over there, they were asking questions about Bush or Obama or Trump, and they just always ask you, what's wrong with that guy? Like, you know. Like, what's going on? What's going on with your president? Oh my God! Why did this person do this? And then I'll be like in a club drinking, like, damn, how, you know, like, where did you even come from? And how do we even get to that? But you know, because the French, man, they do take their politics serious, so they definitely look at the, you know, look at American politics, and you know, they of course, a lot like most countries, they do take it as a joke. But they're just so curious as well. They're just very curious, and they just don't understand why some things are done the way they're done. You know what I mean? Dating as well. I mean, people always are curious about, like, dating, and I may make a separate video. But dating in France, you know, I felt like as an African American was pretty easy because, like I said, it's depending on the location, diversity is really huge. But I just feel like people are very just down to earth and easygoing. You know, like, it's not a lot of rules. How, you know, in America we have like 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, or I'm not gonna go to this person's house till like after the 4th or 5 days. In France, it ain't really like that. It's all about like vibes and energy. I feel like, you know, if you're feeling it, and French people are very, you know, they do trust easily. They're just more open to, like, just living in a moment, enjoying a moment, having, you know, good conversations. But it's not a lot of, like, rules, you know, I guess because we got so many serial killers here in the US. But it's not like that. It's never been like that. I always felt like it was just super easy dating in France. And you're gonna run into some situations where some people English may not be that good. But I mean, it's an advantage for you because, of course, it can be easy for you to pick up on your French or learn French, you know, while you're over there as well. But I mean, like I said, like, hands down, my favorite, like, accent, I just love the French accent so much. Favorite French movies is, like, The Untouchables, and, you know, it's so many things about it. So, I'm just trying to think, like, I can't think about what else I want to talk about France. I'm probably going to be making a few more videos around this topic because it's so much I feel like I want to share with you guys. If you guys feel like I missed out on anything, please comment below. If you want me to talk about more topics, please let me know. Please continue to support the channel. Make sure you subscribe. Can't wait to talk to you soon.